Hello and welcome to Body Bags. My name is James and I'm your Sunday night reviewer. And this week I decided to do something a little different, as you can see with this video. So I decided to kind of review the 1976 classic King Kong. So run through our movie. We have Fred Wilson, played by Charles Grodin, who is heading an expedition trying to find a hidden island that's in the Indian Ocean. He works for the Petrox Oil Company and they funded his expedition because he believes there's an untapped oil deposit on the island. Now, we have a stowaway on board, Jack Prescott, played by Jeff Bridges, who is a primitive paleontologist who warns that bad things could happen from this island. It's something that he's researched. Anyway, poor Jack gets locked up, unfortunately. And with Fred believing he works for a rival oil company, he does a background check and he soon realizes that he's all okay. He's above board. But anyway, the kind of things change a little bit, and rather bizarrely, Fred decides that Jack can be the expedition photographer. Strange that he didn't have a photographer set up to start with, but then strange that he asks a primitive paleontologist who stayed on board to do that for him. Oh well, it is as it is. During their journey, they happen across a life raft carrying a sole survivor from a shipwreck, Dwan. Yeah, she changed her name from Dawn for it to be more memorable. Okay. But anyway, Dwan is played by Jessica Lange. I believe that this is kind of her first big role in movies. So they get to the island, and yeah, there's this kind of aforementioned in the movie, like there's this blanket of fog. It doesn't ever seem to change whenever it's been photographed on rare occasions through the years. So anyway, they set sail, they breach the fog, and they get to the beach on the island, to which they begin exploring. And then they happen upon a primitive tribe who actually wish to buy Dwan, or actually kind of trade her for some of their local women that they have. But obviously, our party is going to refuse this. Anyway, upon refusing this request, they actually go back to their boat and prepare for some rest for the night. But Dwan is kidnapped by this primitive tribe because they want her as a sacrifice for Kong. Yes, it takes about an hour to get there, but we get to Kong. So no, Dwan has been tied up to this sacrificial altar that's outside our Great Wall. And Kong obviously duly accepts. Our party have realised what's happened, but they don't get there in time to save her. That's the bad thing. So whereas once, with his prior knowledge and stories, that Jack was the only believer in Kong, now everyone pretty much believes. Even Fred, who actually falls over in what he first believes is a hole, and then realises it's a giant footprint on the floor. So we go back to Dwan at this point, and she's realising Kong isn't quite all that it seems. He's not just this giant, huge killer ape. Well, not he is that, but he has other qualities as well. And she realises this after a quick shower and blow dry. You watch the film, you'll understand what I mean. But anyway, our party, so the rest of our guys have gone to rescue Dwan, and they actually come face to face with Kong. And there's this deadly showdown where they just happen. There's this big, like huge kind of ravine, and they have this giant log that they're crossing, and it doesn't end well with Kong attacking this log and making all but two of our party fall over the edges. We have obviously our main kind of hero, Jeff, and one of the other guys who actually goes back to the boat to explain what's going on. So we have Jeff Bridges. So he follows Kong and Dwan back to Kong's lair, where he has a bit of a visitor, this giant snake. So there's this kind of, we get to see the awesome power and ferociousness of Kong as he's grappling with this giant snake. Excuse me. And while this is going on, while he's distracted, Jack rescues Dwan and they escape. So when they get back to the Great Wall, Freddy and the others have already dug a huge trap and they've prepared chloroform because they want to capture Kong, which they duly do. And this is the point where Fred decides there's a fortune to be made from Kong, the new Petrox Oil mascot who he works for. So they transport him to New York. At one point, so he's locked up in this holding on this huge oil tanker, empty oil tanker, Kong. And Dwan falls in, but Kong delicately captures her when she's falling, and then gently takes her back up to the top where she can be with everyone else. So he's showing his kind of soft side, and it's really making people look at Kong a little bit differently. Anyway, we get to New York. So we got Fred and Petrox Oil. They set up this show, this Beauty and the Beast show, and they're going to reenact when Dwan was tied to this sacrificial altar. So we're getting all set up, and Kong is wheeled out in this metal, almost half cage, half suit. Anyway, just before all this, Jack deciding he doesn't want any part of this. It's not right. It's just a charade. It's just totally wrong. So although he leaves, he does stick around to kind of watch from the shadows, kind of thing. And we see Dwan is also having second thoughts with this too, and she's like deep in thought, and she gets quite distressed when these photographers swamp her and start taking photos. And Kong can see this, and he wants to protect her, so he kind of breaks out from his holdings. Anyway, Jack has again rescued Dwan, and they're trying to escape across the city. They're followed by a rather angry Kong who's destroying all in his path, killing many people on the way. So en route, there's this really cool actually where he just destroys a train when he's trying to look for Dwan in there, and she's actually holed up in this Manhattan bar because she's desperate for a drink. So yeah, all this is going on, and they stop to have a drink, and somehow he finds her in her, and he steals her again, and then he climbs up to the World Trade Center, and then yeah, he gets attacked by the army. They're shooting at him, and they've got all these flamethrowers. Eventually, these helicopters coming in, and he succumbs to all of this, and eventually dies. And that's the end of our Kong. He falls to his death from the World Trade Center. And there we have it. So this was pretty long. Yeah. So this was the TV edit. So clocking around 3 hours long. Quite amusing about this is actually when I was watching it, it got to the halfway point, and then it's skipped back to the start. I was like, oh shit, there's something wrong with my disc. But oh no, it's not being edited. So that they have the TV kind of recap at the start, which is quite cool. You have some credits and then like the recap of what's going on. And Screen Factory have left that in, so it's almost like you're watching it from the TV. So that was pretty amusing. I kind of quite like that. But yeah, this was strange actually. I actually preferred like the first third of it. The Churchill break it up into three parts. Yeah, it's the part without King Kong I weirdly seem to enjoy the most. I think it's the characters that you have plus the actors. I thought the casting was actually very good in this, and they're really engaging together on screen. Like Jessica Lange is, yeah, she really draws you in. I never really realised with Jessica Lange that she has this definite screen presence, and she has this almost flirtatiousness with the camera that really sucks you in when you're watching it, and it's kind of how you're watching like it's kind of how Jeff Bridges and Charles Grodin are. It's almost like they forget that they're on camera at some point, the way that they're kind of staring at her. And I thought that was pretty cool. I really kind of enjoyed that, how that came over. Anyway, this is probably a watch I won't make too many times, although I really like the first third. It's like the other two. I enjoy this movie. It's pretty long watching it at 3 hours. It does not need to be that 3 hours. It's good to do once, maybe twice, but definitely just watch the normal edit that's been out previously. But anyway, that's the end of the review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.